everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling.
He crushed it.
I'm high on
It's a grand slam.
that you're in love with me.
I'm telling you, it's time to party.
Lips as sweet
Ladies
as
and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to SoxHub episode 19, home of the 33 and 33 third place Boston Mid Sox. I'm your host, Brandon McAlery, and alongside of me is the one, the only, the zesty lefty slinger himself, Trotty Too Hottie, aka Matt Trotta. How you doing?
You know how it be, Mac. Living the dream, running at God's speed. How about yourself, buddy?
I'm fucking old. Just going to start off with that. I was working today, sitting in my chair, got up, threw my back out, just sitting down, doing nothing. And this thing hurts. I got a heating pad on it now. I got about 6 ibuprofen down the gullet, ready to go. But man, getting old sucks. And you know what? Like, I wish mine was a slip disc like yours, like something serious.
Oh.
Nah, it's just like some pulled little lower back tendon or something stupid.
Hopefully you'll be all right in a couple of days, a week. You hate to see one of the SoxHub boys, let alone two of them, taking an IL stint. We're going to put you through, with the doctors and the trainers in the clubhouse for the next 48 hours. And if you don't get better, we're going to have to make room on the 26th man here and put you on the IL. And you're going to have to join me, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I'm hoping, I can sit in one of those like jacuzzi things and it just shoots hot water at my back or something like that. Maybe have like somebody that's much tinier than me just step on my back a little bit. Not too sure. Maybe rub me out in a not the bad way that Bob Kraft got in trouble for. But, just get a good little palm in there and just circular motions. Something crazy. Because I'll tell you now, I get up and I immediately just go crippled.
I have a suggestion.
Hit
The
me.
one thing that helped me, because mine was to the extent that I couldn't even freaking sleep on it for a week. The one thing that helped was Stim. I don't know if you have seen them at CVS or Walgreens, but they sell them, whether it's the 2-pad ones or you can get fancy and get the 4-pad ones just under $100. And it's well worth the purchase here, especially in your case. It really loosens it up a little bit and makes it feel quite better, if you ask me. It was a weird, unorthodox approach that I took when I can't stand icing anything on my body when it's hurt or sore. I don't really believe in it. You're making it tighter. Cold, I feel like, compresses things and makes things tight. I'm not a fan of that. If anything, I'd rather heat or stretch something. So this stim kind of made sense for me, making something loose.
Doesn't the stim, though, contract?
Yes, contract and then it loosens. Contract, loosens, and then once you're done, it's in a sense like getting a massage,
Gotcha.
but by pulses of energy.
Well, I'm going to have to look into the stim. Then used to do it when I had my ACL surgery and stuff like that. They would stim it to get your knee to kind of like
It's good for
strengthen
muscles.
that muscle. Exactly. So I may have to give it a shot. But you know what? Big shout out right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. But for those of you just listening, Trotta's got the stash going. And let me tell you, that thing is mean and gritty. You look like you should have some bullet slider whiskey that's dripping down the sides of your freaking face right now.
I wish we could drink some on the Red Sox by half, but we cannot. Thank you, Mac. I appreciate it. As an Italian male, I feel like it's only right, but to have such a dominant stash as this one, not to have mustache hubris here, but
Yeah, rub it in,
is,
dickhead.
It is regal, if I do say so myself.
Regal is the best way to put that because my wife will tell you I look like I should be in a white van with this little 12 thing I got going above the lip.
I still look like a porn star, but
Yeah, that's way better than being in a white van.
Yeah, that is true, but well, it's just why can't people take a mustache serious? You know?
I think they're making a comeback to being just part of like society again, where it's
I
not
would hope
just weird
so.
and creepy. Because like what I love right now is we have another member of the Boston Red Sox nation here with a game mustache, which just fits the vibe of this club. And so I love what you're bringing to the table right now. You got the nice chin definition, the little
Mm,
scruff to go underneath it. Mm,
good
man, what
place.
I would do for a stash like that. What I
Thank
would
you,
do.
sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot, Mac. It means a lot.
Good. I'm glad. Story just to kick this off before we get into actual baseball stuff, because you know what? A lot of times we just talk baseball, and don't get me wrong, that's what we're here for. But I have to get this one off my chest. So you and I were texting earlier about how you're cooking steaks. I'm grilling up some steak kebabs. It's gonna be a good man night. You know what I mean? Cooking
Oh
them up
yeah.
for the wives, all that stuff. So I go outside. I throw some steaks on the grill. I come back in. And keep in mind, it is June 10th right now. And my wife is in the living room. And she, all of a sudden, I hear, ba, 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 or how's it go? Dun, 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 dun. You don't know what that is.
No clue.
Oh, listeners, you should be able to hop right on that. That is Halloween Town, my friend. That was playing on my television on
Oh
June
Christ.
10th at 6:30 at night.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what fucking world do we live in? Do you think that this is acceptable in my house to have Halloween? Don't get me wrong. I love Halloween Town. I love Hocus Pocus. I love all those. Grew up with them, okay? Those are made for late September and
Mhm.
all through October. That is it.
Correct.
That is not made for June.
I can't give you too much crap here because Rach will play Christmas stuff from August until it'll be post Christmas January and January time. But like
I typically don't allow it.
I will I'm good with it as long as it's not one of those sing along ones.
Okay.
Um I'm a big elf guy. I'll watch that any time of the year, all day long. But yeah, you can't really knock those classic ones that you can only see like during the Christmas times on like
But
Freeform,
like
which was
that's
ABC
what
Family
makes them
now.
though. That's what
Yes,
makes them though is
yes,
that you can only watch them then.
no
That's what
doubt.
made
But
it
like,
special.
we'll save those until like post Thanksgiving time, thankfully. But
Yep.
there's certain ones like Santa Claus or Elf that'll be put on pre-holiday season, similar
See,
to this
that's
Halloween Town one. So I can't give you too much crap or Haley too much crap for this.
I mean, in fairness, we're not going to go too much. There's reasons why we allow this right now, but I will say this: she had looked at me and said, "The Grinch is coming on next," and I said, "If you want the Grinch to come on
Oh,
next, you can go stay at your mother's house."
that holiday hoobie whatty, that would
Holiday
be
hoobity
perfectly fine.
whatity? No,
That would be perfectly fine to be put on
not
television.
acceptable on a beautiful 75-degree day where the sun is shining. You've got a little crisp breeze coming in, and you have the fucking Grinch playing. Nope. I waited 6 months for that darkness of winter to end to have this where it gets dark at 8:30 at night. I don't need Christmas movies right now. Can't do it. Won't do it. Unacceptable.
Yeah, yeah, I quite honestly won't either. In the beginning of June, but if the wife puts it on, then got to take the inhale, exhale, and leave it be. You know, pick your battles. Pick your battles.
I guess you got to pick and choose. Also, too, like I know we've discussed this, but like there's just such a Zen shortage around here. Like,
Oh,
and it is utterly ridiculous. Somebody had mentioned
oh
that
yeah.
a factory burnt down or something like that, or there was a fire at the factory. And my mind initially goes to if that's true, why the hell do you only have one factory when you are that big? Like it
Seriously.
it's mind boggling. I go to a store right now. I can't get a 6 milligrams in to save my life. So now I got to get threes. They don't even have chills, so I have to get freaking smooths. I bought ons the other day, ON with an exclamation point. These things were awful,
Yeah,
awful,
I bought the
terrible.
Rogues the other day, and those were horrific as well. There's nothing that can compare to a Zimbabwe.
But that's what I'm dealing
Ugh.
with right now. Smooth
I'd rather
3
that right
milligram.
now, man. I'd rather that shit right now than this piece of
This
shit Rogue.
terrible. And you
At
know what?
least
No
yours is
free
8
ads.
millis.
Yeah, 8 millis didn't do anything. I put 4 of them up there and nothing happened.
Jesus, fuck. All right. Well,
That's why
Zins it
I'm
is, I
begging.
guess. Zins it
I'm
is,
a
I guess, man.
I'm a Zin or die kind of guy. Like it. I used
Yeah,
to
you gotta
dip for
have.
years. You and I
Mm,
both. We used to dip for years. It started when I was 15 and dipped until I was like, I want to say 25, 26. I don't think I've dipped in 4 years now.
yep. Yep.
And like, greatest decision I ever made. However, my wife hates me because she's like, "What do you got? Your little lip snacks up there?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I do. Don't judge me, all right? Would you rather me dip? Listen, it's the
Yep.
lesser of two evils.
Yep.
Just let me
There
be me.
are there are worse things we could be doing, you know?
Amen. Amen to that. But all right, let's dive into some baseball talk here because we do have quite a few things to talk about when it comes to this series in general. We have some John Henry quotes. First time he's talked to the media in about, I think, like 4 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So we got some of that to dive into. We have a very characteristic of the Red Sox series here to talk about. In a 4-game series, you'll never guess what they did and what that record came out to.
You will
Um,
not.
but like, let me ask you this, okay?
What do you
Actually,
got?
first, I will say this. If it weren't for the Rays and Jays absolutely not living up to expectations, we would absolutely be in last place right now. But here we are in third place, a game and a half out of a wild card spot.
I don't want to say you're right because I feel like that brings down the vibes a little bit, but you're right. Especially the Blue Jays, my God almighty, they are bad when on paper they should be first or second place in this division. Sad truth, sad reality, they are not. And they're
No,
going to more than likely be getting rid of some of these top pieces that they thought would be bringing them, if not one, multiple World Series championships in Bo Bichette, George Springer, Vladdy
Kevin
Jr.,
Gausman.
Kevin Gausman, Romano. They also just got rid of Kevin Biggio, DFA'd him
They
3 days
DFA'd him
ago
finally.
as a heads up. I low key think that would be a pretty good move to claim for the Boston Red Sox. Throw him in AAA, see if he can figure something out with the new scenery a little bit because, I'm not a massive fan at what we've seen going on as of late the last 2 weeks at second base with the Red Sox. And I kind of want to see something else. I think that's why you
Hold
saw
on, hold
Nick
on.
York get
You're
called
you're
up
gonna
at second
say
base
you're gonna say Jamie
for the Woo
Westbrook
Sox.
hasn't been exciting?
He that's great and all, but he's been batting 172. I could
He's
use a
barely
little
been
bit
given a
more.
chance.
He has 17 at bats. I understand he has that home run and he has a couple hits and he sees the ball well. He understands the zone. He has decent zone recognition, being being the fact that he's walked a couple times. But I need
I
something
don't know.
more. And then on top of it, Kevin Biggio can play multiple positions outside of second base. He can play third. He can play short. He can play first. He can play outfield. He's that super util guy that can be useful. I know we kind of last pod I was saying that Jamie Westbrook could be the next sort of Brock Holt, Christian Arroyo sort of vibe that we're looking for, but I'm here to win ball games, and quite frankly, his bat, hasn't really been
Well,
doing much or producing a ton.
I can tell
No,
you now
not
though,
really.
Craig Biggio is not going to help us win ball games.
Craig's definitely
Oh, I'm
not because
sorry,
he's been
Kevin.
retired for a
I'm
while,
sorry,
but
Kevin.
his son, Kevin, still has a shot at being good. He was one of the top prospects of the league and for the Toronto Blue Jays for a while. Why not have a little resurrection just like Slick Dick Reese McGuire did from the Blue Jays when they let his ass go too? Little equal common goal that they had together, They'll
I
prove
just
those
don't
Blue
see
Jays
it.
wrong and get pretty damn good. He's
Listen,
good defensively.
they hit on 2 out of 3 with Bo and Vladdy Jr. Even though there's some debate there, obviously, but like Cavan, I liked Cavan a lot coming up, and I like his swing, but it hasn't played at the major league level. Now, sure, there's always a chance that you know, blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, but he's got the pedigree. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't hate it at this point to have a little at least another bench player in case somebody goes down or whatever it is. But I don't think he's going to help us win ball games. But it would be different. Would be cool.
It would be indeed. I could see the Dodgers picking him up real quick and him turning into like a 325 hitter for the rest of the year with, we'll call it 10 bombs, 15 bombs. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I could see that. I weirdly could see the Marlins too, like DFAing like Tim Anderson, putting Miguel Rojas not Miguel Rojas. They have what the heck is his name? There's a shortstop that used to play for the Jays. I can't think of his name, but they have him that they can move over to short, put Cavan at second, and boom, just go play for the Marlins where
Espinal?
Nobody cares what you do. No, not Santiago Espinal. It's now it's gonna bug me who it is. Roster. We're gonna look that up real quick. He literally just got sent down, but it is Otto Lopez. He's batting like 285, 3 home runs, 4 steals for them, and like 100 at bats or something like that. He's been a nice, pleasant surprise. He's doing fine.
He's batting 295.
Yeah,
3 homers.
He just got sent down
RBIs.
for Tim Anderson. That's what I'm saying. Just DFA Tim. Go pick up Cavan. Move that kid over to short, and boom. See what happens.
Career 324 MLB hitter. Not bad.
Not too bad. But yeah, to bring it all back full circle here and not make this about the Jays or anything like that. But again, if them and the Rays actually lived up to expectations, we would be dead last in a very, very competitive, division.
But we are not. We are third place.
We certainly are not, my
Ladies
friend.
and
And that gives us some cause. I don't want to say celebration, but definitely gives us some cause for some optimism to come forth. But
and 2 back from a wild card. All right.
But like,
okay.
Did this series really make you feel good though?
No, but we won with, not to jump ahead, one of the worst rosters you will ever see put out in a series must-win finale. Oh, in a must-win, the Double-A Portland Sea Dogs Red Sox won a baseball game. Holy shit. Even against the White Sox, that lineup winning is impressive.
They did it against a single A team.
Still impressive because we had a AAA team out there as well. So it was kind of equalized. And
that was a varsity high school team scrimmaging their JV team.
Yep.
That's really what that was.
We were still the varsity somehow, some way with that lineup. And Zach Kelly on the mound.
We should have been. Yep. You're expected to win that as the varsity team. If you lose to the JV team, that doesn't look that great.
Yeah, like that is not a good product. You know what I mean, Mac? Not really something that we want to watch.
No. It's not something.
There's some man does not understand that this product is not good nor nearly watchable for not your everyday fan.
I think
casual fan.
I think you and I are actually going to have a big debate about this because I'm not saying I'm on John Henry's side because if I do, our podcast would get canceled immediately. But I understand where John Henry's coming from with his comments. Now, before we hear both sides of this, all right, let me read some excerpts from this article from Mass Live that was posted. Okay. In a rare interview with the Financial Times. In a rare interview with the. You should not be allowed to have the soundboard.
What's going on? So you're just getting booed already? Let's let him defend himself. All right. Let's just let him defend him. Let him.
We got this. We got this. All right. It's not. Listen, I don't need to defend myself. It's John Henry who needs to defend himself. I think I'm gonna paint a little bit of a different picture for you. That's all. All right.
Okay. Fair.
In a rare interview with the Financial Times, Red Sox principal owner John Henry reiterated that he has no plans to sell the Red Sox while shedding some light on why he runs the organization the way he does. Henry, who has not spoken about the Red Sox in a formal media availability since February of 2020, told reporter Sarah Germano via email that he feels fans' expectations to contend for World Series championships on a yearly basis are unrealistic. Because fans expect championships almost annually, he told Germano, they easily become frustrated and are not going to buy into what the odds actually are, 1 in 20 or 1 in 30. I'm going to stop there real quick. Let's discuss this. Fan expectations are too high and that we should win it everywhere? Well, let me start off by saying this, John Henry. No fucking shit. You ran the fucking league for 15 years. 04 rolled around and you won the World Series. You invested in the team almost every year with high-priced players and bringing them in, and we contended for World Series every single year. Did we win one? No, but we contended. We were in the playoffs almost every single year since 03, I'd say. Since 03, we've been in the playoffs every single year. So no shit. We have expectations to contend for a championship every year. Why wouldn't we? You set that expectation. That right there alone is, I think, the tough thing.
I wouldn't say the expectation for the fan base necessarily is contend for a World Series championship every year. I think the expectation is more dumbed down than that. That's a little outrageous. I think it's at least be a competitive baseball team that's in the hunt every single year to make the playoffs and or to win their division. I think that's the expectation from the Red Sox nation and the fan base. You know what I mean, man?
I
Not
think
necessarily to win a World Series.
I think that's the expectation of a 2024 Red Sox fan right now.
No, man.
Because that, when you say put a competitive team out there to contend for the playoffs, that's all we're asking for and have been asking for the past 4 years. But if you take back the past 4 years before Chaim Bloom was here and Dave Dombrowski was here.
Expectation is that we're making the playoffs as a division champion or the wild card spot if we're not winning that, and then we're contending for a World Series.
Exactly. Like 2021 came out of nowhere, and there was hope that we were 1 out away from going to the goddamn World Series. 1 strike away. Fuck you, Laz Diaz.
And that wasn't even the mindset back then either.
No, it wasn't. But we still somehow did.
We lucked out in a way.
Exactly. And so my point to this is that John Henry saying it's unrealistic for us to want a championship every year. Yet you set that expectation. He did when he signed all these players, signed big money players, signed everything to help this team get back to that point. He set that expectation for us as fans to believe that we would be in the playoffs every year contending for a championship. That's his fault if he didn't want to do that. Now, being a Red Sox fan has been one of the best things for the past, prior to 2022 and beyond, has been one of the best sports. I mean, a New England fan in general has been one of the best sports experiences because we were winning championships every other year and stuff like that. But
no doubt,
Henry, what do you think fans are going to expect here when you put out a championship caliber team every year and then suddenly the well's dry, boys? Nothing's happening.
He's fallen victim of his own doing here. And if he doesn't do something sooner than later about it, he's only going to frustrate the Red Sox fan base more than he already has. He lives in Boston still with his wife. A couple of the quotes in the article kind of pegged it towards you clearly don't really have much passion into this. You see this more as like a business entity than anything. And, I think the Red Sox nation wants, an individual that is kind of like a fan, like a diehard fan.
Like a Steve Cohen.
And a successful businessman on top of it, running ship. in wanting to have a voice and wanting to win every single year and putting his money where his mouth is, not just
But
running it like it's a little pawn in his entire business schemes across his whole entire venture as the Fenway Sports Group.
like, so I agree with you. That's, as fans, that's what you want. You want an owner that is going to be focused on your team and help you and your team get to where you want to be. That should be the ultimate goal. But let me ask you this. Has John Henry not done that for us?
In the past, no doubt, but it's kind of like he's like sick of, he's bored of it now that he's done everything. He's like, what else do I need to do here? All right, I want to go do something that I haven't done before. What's that? Oh, I've done it all in baseball. I'm going to go do it in soccer. All right, well, Liverpool's really freaking good now, and we've been winning a lot of things. Now I want to go do it in golf. Oh, I can't own one individual golfer. All right, how about if I go own the league? Like he's just trying to check button boxes off of his like Sims list for being an entrepreneur businessman.
Let me ask you this, okay? Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, for Christ's sakes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any resent towards them at all? Or would you say that, like, they're fucking awesome for what they did?
What, like doing what?
Well, Michael Jordan decided to go play baseball at one point, walk away from being the greatest basketball player ever, and play baseball because he wanted to try it out and see if he could conquer that. Deion Sanders played baseball as well and even said baseball was way harder than football. Bo Jackson did both. Okay. There are certain guys that have done both that will be held on this pedestal. So what's wrong with a man who's already conquered one sports world and has said, you know what? I'm still going to focus on that, but I want to go see if I can go conquer this and this and this, because that's the point of building an empire. You don't just stop when you get to the top of one thing. You start now to continue and leak into other things and try to prove that you're the best at it. Now, hold on, because
you continue to stay the best in those things once you leave them. That's the difference.
You would think so, but in reality, okay, so actually let me get to a couple more excerpts here before I dive into this. So, since winning the World Series in 2018, the Sox have reached the postseason just once while finishing last in their division in 3 out of the last 4 seasons. Angering fans further was the decision to cut payroll and not spend on improvements over the winter while other teams like the Dodgers, Yankees loaded up with stars. Henry has not publicly addressed why the Sox chose that route, while others like Warner Kennedy have spent months walking back Warner's November proclamation that the team was going to go full throttle in 2024. Henry told Germano that he thought the backlash toward Warner was overdone. He also took obsession over his and Warner's remarks about expensive ball players and going full throttle, Germano said of Henry. The latter had overshadowed every other word, paragraph, and interview of the winner because it reaches so deeply into the false beliefs that many fans and media have that you should mortgage the future for the present. Keep that in mind. Mortgage the future for the present. Creating a sustainable future for the Red Sox was, he argued, more important than any given year's payroll. You have to base acquisitions and dispositions on the future, not the past, he said. That is unpopular generally. So now you have a guy who says, you guys think I don't care about the Red Sox, but I care about them so much that I am not going to bankrupt the Red Sox and turn into, like, look at some of these contracts that have been given out, right? Carlos Correa was offered 2 $300 million deals, eventually settled for like what, 5/135, 5/160, something along those lines. Has he lived up to that contract? Absolutely not. Look what Blake Snell just got. I mean, granted, I understand they're 1-2 year deals. Like, look at these guys holding out on free agency for the bag, if you will, for these $100+ million contracts, and look what they're doing. Cody Bellinger, for example. Okay, there are plenty of players that you can go down the list and be like, terrible contract, terrible contract, terrible contract. Anthony Rendon. Look what David Price did. Okay, David Price. Yes, I understand he finally got back. He won the World Series and stuff like that, but he never lived up to being the highest paid pitcher of all time. So he's saying here that you can't mortgage the future for one season payroll. So, like, why? we'll go big when we have to. For instance, they re-signed Rafi Devers this offseason. That is a player that is going to be worth the money. I understand people are going to argue that he's a $30 million DH and stuff like that, but he's a Red Sox favorite. He is a Red Sox for life, and that is somebody that you need here for that long. Okay, but if you're going to mortgage the future to go win 1 or 2 World Series in a short window, when instead, hey, here's a fucking idea. Let's go draft a ton of really good players like the Houston Astros did, like the Kansas City Royals did with Bobby Witt, like the Orioles did. Let's go do that and then build a sustainable future where now we're paying these guys less money over a course of their 6-year contract, unless they're superstars and in arbitration, they're making X amount, but whatever. So now let's build that sustainable future. So then when the time comes to where either we got to pay them or they're in their prime, still on a very friendly deal here, that we can now go invest and put behind them. And I think that time will come. Now, this is where I say I'm going to defend John Henry. I agree. You should not mortgage whatever the heck he said. You should not, give away every asset to compete for 1 or 2 years. I care about the Red Sox. I want them to be sustainable. And that's something that I took because to me, I think we give John Henry a lot of shit, and as we should because of the expectation that he set for 15 plus years. Okay. But his mentality now, I think, is right. You have the Yankees, who are an absolute juggernaut right now. You have the Orioles, who are going to be juggernauts for longer than the Yankees. It is going to be a very competitive decision. So right now, he's teetering between being borderline good or borderline bad. And this has been the story all along. Once those reinforcements arrive in the Roman Anthonys, the Kyle Teals, and the Nick Yorks, and all those type of players, the Myers and all that, that's when shit gets fun. So to this point, I don't disagree with Henry here. Sorry, that was a long tangent.
Don't be sorry at all. Your point of view, your perspective on this opens up a different light, and a mature one at that. Looking at it in a full lens, a full scope. You kind of have to agree with it because especially when you bring in the Correa contract, the Blake Snell contracts, the Jordan Montgomery contract, even though it was 1 to 2 years, it doesn't really matter. Those were outrageously paid for based on what they are getting performance-wise out of these guys and numbers-wise out of these guys as of late. Even when you go look at guys that are getting like 7+ year contracts, they're all bad contracts, man. None of them live up to it because it's all for like the back half of it is
you're paying for
well
what somebody
past their
did.
prime.
Yeah, you're paying for what somebody did.
Stephen Pierce is a perfect example of that for one of those sort of contracts that the Red Sox have stupidly done in the past, and they're not trying to do that again, which is relatively smart, if you're asking me. Mm-hmm. The only person that they thought was true and worthy enough for that as of right now has been Rafael Devers. Whatever reason, as of right now, in my own personal opinion, Brian fucking Bayo. And number 3, Little Rafi. And then we have a lot of control still with Jarren Duran. If I remember correctly, you said we still have like 3 years of control for him.
I think we have him until 2027 is the end of his rookie contract or whatever.
So that's 3.
Like we have him until he's 31, 32 years old, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. So,
but like Willier, you got Wong still under control. Mm-hmm. Like you got a lot of these pitchers that are still going to be under control as well. So like and this is where I've said this before in future podcasts or previous podcasts, like we have the foundation to have a really good team. It's going to be either a mix of supplementing it now or having guys like we need a lot of these guys to take that step forward. You know what I mean?
We also have the pieces to be a really good team in the future, not just the present. But I think you're talking the present right now. I'm talking the future real quick of like we have the potential to be a good team because we have so many young players that are proving that they can do this at the major league level currently that not many of us see more than half of this current roster, this current 40-man, being here long term more than a year or two. So what else are we going to do with these guys? Are we just going to let most of them walk and not get any return out of them? I don't think that is going to be the route based on these statements here and what Craig is all about and the opportunity that we have with the big three here in Teal, Meyer, and Anthony coming up in the next, if you want to call it, year to 3 years.
But to that point, though, right? So we have, like we had said, a good foundation. We have a ton of controllable players. Like, what are we going to let them do? Are we going to let them walk, figure it out? A lot of these guys, though, that are going to be around long term are the pieces that we want here long term. So we have Cassis, again, for another 4 years. Okay. Wilyer Abreu, Jaron Duran, Cedane Raphael, David Hamilton, Rafael Devers, Connor Wong. Okay. All long term pieces within, I would say, at least the next 3 to 6 years. Okay. Then you have your pitching staff that has a ton of guys. Your bullpen's pretty cost controllable for what you have in the bullpen right now and controllable wise. So now you've got guys where maybe they perform, maybe not, maybe a few of them hit their peak at the same time within the next 1 to 3 years. Okay. And now once those players start getting good, maybe we start winning again, right? We're consistently battling for a wild card spot or the division. But now as some of those players may walk, like say a Jaron Duran, God forbid, a Tristan Cassis, okay? Like guys that are getting towards the end of these contracts or these rookie contracts. Now you're supplementing that peak talent with guys like a Kyle Teal, a Marcelo Meyer, a Nick York, a Roman Anthony. So now we went from being good to still being good with this supplemented talent. You know what I'm saying? So like you're kind of just like, okay, we can let some of these guys walk or trade away in their last year because we have these guys coming up.
It's much safer to do so.
It is, and that's where it
makes sense on a business side of things when you're looking at that and on just a piece of paper.
Exactly, and that's the tough thing is that baseball is a business, and that's the frustrating thing that I think. I know every fan realizes it and knows it in their heart that this is a business, but at the same time, too, when you're at a game or you're experiencing watching the Red Sox, you don't look at it like that because you love the Red Sox. You almost feel like you are part of them or they are a part of you. So you take the business side of it out of it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we can sit there and be like, listen, we're $35 million under the CBT right now, the tax threshold. Why the hell are we not spending that? But as a businessman and the owner of the team has got to make those decisions, you got to figure out where you're going to spend that money wisely, essentially. And you know what? And John Henry's last quote in this excerpt was, bear with me, not zooming out. Son of a gun. I don't think people in my position can win publicly. Your words are often used against you, so the less I say, generally think the better. And you know what? I agree with that statement. You know, I saw Milliken on Twitter be like, good, shut the fuck up, Henry. Nobody wants to hear from you anyways. And you know what? There's a reason why he doesn't talk. It's because everything he said, like, for instance, you know, fans' expectations are too high.
Hasn't Milliken given him shit for being silent? And then he says...
He might have, like, most of these, he might have, like, to the fact that he hasn't addressed the full throttle comments or addressed the media, like, and all this stuff. So he very well might have. But, like, a lot of these people, exactly that point, are clamoring for John Henry to talk. He speaks, and now we're telling him to go fuck himself because he's saying that you guys have unrealistic expectations, which, again, that's your fault, John Henry. But I care about the Red Sox, and I care about their future. I don't care about just today and tomorrow and this year. I care about the longevity of the Red Sox. And if you think about it, Tom Yawkey owned it for what, like 40, 50 years before he ended up selling it. Before that, it was only one or two other owners. Like there's been a short list of owners of the Boston Red Sox. And especially in the media market that we are in, where you are going to get scrutinized for every, like you eat a chip wrong. You pick your nose in public and you are going to get scrutinized for that if you are a part of any sort of the Boston Red Sox. Okay. So John Henry, I'm not saying cut the man some slack over here, but I can tell you now, I certainly wouldn't want to be in his shoes making the decisions that he has to make, because as much as, you know, we gave him shit like, God damn it, John Henry, like, fuck you didn't spend money this year. When I look at his answers there, I think of it in a mature way. And this is me growing up in my 30-year-old man that I am and realizing that, you know what? he's kind of right here. Kind of right. I'm not saying he's all the way right, but he's kind of right.
I'll agree to disagree. He makes good points, but I want an opportunity to win every single year, and he hasn't been giving us that the last 3 seasons. I want a chance to contend at minimum, and we haven't been there.
He's owned the Red Sox for what, like 21 years? I think it was 03 when he bought the team, or 02, something like that.
Yep.
In that range. So anywhere from 21 to 22 years, he's owned the team. Okay. What is it? 17 out of those years, we've probably made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. We're like, to an extent, we're greedy sons of bitches. Think about the Patriots. Okay.
No,
Patriots went from a fucking dynasty to absolute shit. Nobody's giving Robert Kraft shit for what he's done.
These years have been self-inflicted, either by poor roster construction or not spending the money when we have the available money.
How much is poor roster construction, though, on John Henry, as opposed to the people that Chaim Bloom has said, like, hey, we need to sign this guy, we can get him for 1.5.
Or hired by the owner. Do what an owner needs to do and change it sooner. Change the course of action.
But like that to me is a high. That's like a Monday morning quarterback take, because now we know it was a poor hire. However, was it really a poor hire? Because look at what our farm system is now.
Then deal with the issue right away and talk to the guy so it can be adjusted ASAP.
Mm-hmm. And now this is going to defend your point, but it is also tough to have those conversations when you're not totally invested in the Red Sox and you got a million other things going on, where you may not realize what's going on underneath the hood. You may get in the car and drive it, but you have no idea if it needs an oil change.
Yeah, like too much shit to do, like eat a fucking hot dog or lobster roll in your owner's suite during the Savannah Bananas game.
Was he there?
Yeah, he was in his owner's box, sitting there eating a sandwich or a hot dog, whatever the hell, with his transition stupid old man glasses on, having a good time, taking it all in.
You know what the funny thing is? And again, as much as I defended John Henry here for a few minutes, the funny thing about that is he's probably like, this is the most exciting baseball that's been at fucking Fenway for 4 years. That's
he's not the only one that has probably thought that. I saw videos on social media of how the crowd looked and the stadium as a whole, and my God, there was not an empty seat in that house. The electricity looked unmatched. Fenway playoff baseball sort of energy. It looked nuts. We missed Mitch Moreland.
Mitchie Two Bags.
Jonathan Papelbon sprinting out of here. Jonathan Papelbon threw an inning. Mitch Moreland got a knock, allegedly. Apparently, it was a really good showing. There was a player from the Savannah Bananas, I believe, that was from Massachusetts. That Olsen one, I believe, is from Massachusetts, so that must have been a very cool moment for that individual who was coming back home. If I remember correctly, I could be completely off with that. But, yeah, John Henry was there, very present, and taking it all in. I wonder if he was trying to think of different ways to bring in more money and how to create even more of a exciting fan attraction.
Well, this is
Fenway
where,
Park.
because as I say, I have two thoughts to this. One, there's a show on HBO. Literally can't think of the name of it, but it's about the Lakers, like dynasty, and how Jerry Buss turned the Lakers around with Magic Johnson and that pick and all this stuff. And it's really funny, great show. But in that, Jerry Buss had to realize that, like, as an owner, he had to make money because he pretty much like lied about how much money he had to buy the Lakers. And so he had to make the Staples Center, or whatever the hell it is, an attraction center. So he had to make it, he added the cheerleaders, you know what I mean? He did concerts there and stuff like that. So I wonder if Henry's kind of spinning those wheels of, like, to your point of, like, how can I bring more people into Boston make more money on this and make it more of an attraction to what it already is.
110%. And that show was called Winning Time.
Winning Time. That's it.
Season 1 was fan-fucking-tastic. Season 2, it fell off a cliff and it got canceled, unfortunately.
Yep. It probably could have ended after season 1, and I would have been perfect.
Yeah, they should have just ended it. It was incredible for that whole entire season. They rushed the heck out of it from there.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate because of how good that first one was.
Amen. My other thought to the bananas. So I do have a little bit I want to say about the bananas here, but my hope is that John Henry's at this game and he sees Boston just fucking on its feet. Not a single seat was open. I looked for tickets to this game and they were like $300 each. Okay. So not a single seat open, people rocking like crazy. I hope he sees that and he says to himself, how the hell do I get Fenway Park back to this on a nightly basis? That's my hope.
Put a winning baseball roster onto the field, and the fans will come.
Amen. Amen. Now, to the Savannah Bananas and Banana Ball, as they call it. For those of you who are not in tune with what that is or whatnot, it's a very fun baseball game where you have the Savannah Bananas play the party animals, and essentially it's a spin on baseball. They're playing baseball, and a lot of these guys are either former big leaguers, D1 college players that didn't get drafted, and they're just looking for something fun to do. And they do like TikTok dances before they throw a pitch. You can win innings, so like say you win 3-1. Or you score 3 runs 1 inning, the other team scores 1, you win that inning, and it's +1. So it doesn't matter what the total score is, it's how many innings you win at the end. If a fan catches a foul ball in the air, it's an out. Okay, things like that. They have a dude going up to bat with stilts on. He's like 18 feet tall trying to hit a baseball.
Pitching with them on, too.
Pitching with them on, all right? You got dances where they do dances in center field, and then the center fielder sprints to the mound and then throws it as hard as he can down the middle.
My favorite thing's the walk thing you explained to me.
The walk. So if a batter walks, they have to throw it around the horn, and then at that point, the runner can decide, okay, I'm going to try to take second, because they have to throw it around the horn first before they can tag the runner out of second, or tag the runner out and try to get him out. So if he's fast enough, you got to be quick around the horn because he can go take second base. Fucking wild.
Pretty damn cool element. Pretty cool.
It is. They have baby races trotted during the innings. They literally take some fans and their babies. They put them in a line, and they have like the dads or the mothers sitting on the other side, and they're saying, come here, come on, little Johnny, come here, little Timmy, come on. And you see the babies crawling. Half of them are going opposite directions. Some aren't even moving. You always got one that is just a clear head away of the other ones. They have baby races, for Christ's sakes. Like everybody
That's
on my
electric.
social media, like friends on Facebook were posting pictures being at the bananas. Like, I haven't seen that shit in years at Fenway Park, of people actually posting that like they are truly excited to be there. Like it is Game 7 of a World Series.
It's very cool to see that no matter where these gentlemen go on the Savannah Bananas, they're selling it out, and they're at Major League Baseball stadiums. Such a really cool thing to see in such a short period of time, considering last year they were at the Brockton Rock Stadium.
I was just going to say that. Yeah,
and
they're
selling that
Brockton
out.
Rocks.
And then a year later, man, a calendar year later, they're selling out Fenway. They're selling out Minute Maid Park. Just a really cool thing. Hats off to those guys. Such a creative twist to the game of baseball that at first I wasn't necessarily with, but because I thought it was all scripted and a little odd. But once you get used to and you give something that's different an opportunity and a chance, you realize that you were a little mistaken. These guys aren't necessarily for Globetrotters. It's not scripted whatsoever. They feel very disrespected when you compare them to them, apparently. And they're actually out there trying to win baseball games. The Savannah Bananas don't win every single game they play. Hell, they're not even in first place in record-wise for the teams that they play off against. That pink team that they play normally.
Party animals.
Yeah, they have more wins on their season.
And actually,
apparently.
I would say to that point, Tyler Gilliam, who's the head coach for the Savannah Bananas, had said that the goal this year was to make it much more competitive between the two teams. Because last year, I think it was like a dead 50-50 split between like wins and losses between the two teams. So like to your point, you're seeing competitive baseball. However, to me, it's always funny because like the Savannah Bananas will always be the good guys and the Party Animals will be like the bad guys.
Oh, forever. And I feel like the Party Animals are the guys that are trying out, hoping that they make the Savannah Bananas, but don't make the cut because they're not good enough for the social media aspect and the promotional aspect of it. So they're kind of like, yeah, you're good at baseball, so we're going to throw you over here, but you're not so good at all the other stuff. But this guy, yeah, you can go play on the Bananas. You can do the TikTok dances and dance to Taylor Swift crap.
But like what I love too is I feel like there's got to be some like 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old men that are like, banana ball? What the hell is that? These men's jerseys are unbuttoned down to their belly buttons. This guy's got no sleeves on. This guy's doing front flips trying to field the ground ball. What the hell are we doing out there, Skip? Jesus Christ. Like,
I can probably see Lou Brown. I can see Lou Brown getting pissed at that stuff.
Yeah.
But then real quick, Willie Mays Hayes makes a backflip fucking 360 catch, and he's like, well, that ain't too bad, Hayes.
Yeah, damn, but don't do it again.
Or you'll owe me push-ups.
Yeah, like I can picture like old head baseball fans hating the idea of banana ball, where like these young kids find they just did such a good job of capturing a younger audience, and I think that was the ultimate goal, to grow the game and capture that young audience. So they incorporate the TikTok songs and dances.
Hey
and
man,
stuff like that.
If Rob Manfred's not going to do that, somebody's going to. And the Banana Land definitely took them by the horns.
Oh, 100%. And now I will say this, as much as Banana Land may seem like a circus to some people with the antics that they put on, Tyler Gilliam is the head coach of the Savannah Bananas, and I had the pleasure of hearing him speak at my first ever ABCA convention, the America's Baseball Coaching Association, and he had talked about base running and how he incorporates like pickoffs and stuff like that. What he does with his pitchers on holding runners and how he incorporates that into his practice to help their players get reads. So like they'll do live reads from pitchers picking off and trying to steal. He talked about how they take the same lead every single time, like certain mechanics to it. So as much as it may seem like there's a bunch of antics and like it's not real baseball, Tyler Gilliam is coaching real baseball there. And if you watch these players, there's no way they do what they do without obviously having the athletic ability to do it. But without Tyler Gilliam, the head coach is giving them the freedom to do whatever the hell they want. Like I feel like that clubhouse culture has to be phenomenal. Now, granted, you're not playing for anything, obviously. Like you're playing for entertainment to an extent. Like you're not playing for a championship or anything like that. So that takes the pressure off actually winning. But you're seeing guys like there's a shortstop and they call him like the Magic Man or something like that. Because like he'll sit there, he'll get a ground ball to him, and as it bounces in the air, he'll dribble it down, field it between his legs, flick it up to himself, and throw it to first base. Like you can't teach that. But Tyler Gilliam allows it and allows that athletic ability to do that. But again, he's more than just a conductor, if you will. He is actually teaching them baseball and certain mechanics to this game. So shout out to Tyler Gilliam. He's a phenomenal at what he's done, and he's right where he needs to be in baseball.
Damn right.
Damn right. And in fairness, this is probably the most exciting weekend of Fenway baseball that we've had since 2021.
And it will for the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm. But, all right, let's dive into this. Let's dive into this actual series about what happened here against the Chicago White Sox. Let's just get right into it. Let's get into some game notes. I have a lot of notes from game one, and then it just kind of tapers off.
Falls off from there?
Yeah.
Game one. I understand that.
We have game 63 of the year. We have Tanner Houck versus Jake Woodford. In first inning, Angry Lizard, leadoff homer, number 5 on the season. Don't let Raffy and O'Neill get hot with this guy. 1-0, top of the first, Sox. Then I said, and I don't know if you watched this first game and like fully through and through. But this Woodford guy looks like a bad actor. And like if you actually look at this guy in the mound and his demeanor, he looked so pissed every single like miserable that he was out there pitching. And he looked like a bad guy in a bad action movie as a bad actor. Like that's what this guy looked like. And I can't pinpoint who he looked like. Have you ever seen Dexter?
No.
No. All right. There's a guy in Dexter. His name's Sergeant Quinn, and he ends up dating Dexter's sister and all this stuff. That's who this guy kind of looks like just this miserable Brooklyn prick, and terrible actor. All this. I'm not saying the guy who played him is a terrible actor, but long story short, he just looked miserable to be out there on the mound for the Chicago White Sox.
Gotcha. I don't blame him if he probably was.
In fairness, he was, because he played for the Cardinals a couple years ago and was like had like some pretty decent success out of the rotation and out of the bullpen. And they brought him right up from AAA. And wait till I get to some of the comments Will said. Next note, Tanner already out here throwing frisbees and dragging his dick on the mound. This thing was fucking like just the slider, man, was just impressive. I genuinely can't imagine how I'm going to read this how it says, and then I'm going to read what I thought it just said. I generally can't imagine how to duck a foul ball in the dugout. So, like, there was one at bat, and I think it was a lefty up, and they line drive into the Chicago White Sox dugout. Like, can you imagine just sitting there, right? You're sitting, leaning on the dugout, you're chit-chatting with your boys, and then, boom, 105-mile liner comes in. Like, how do you react to that to get down?
You don't. You just kind of luck out, I feel like.
That's a very good point. You definitely just luck out. Now, what I thought that said is I read it because fuck usually autocorrects to duck in Apple. And so I read this and I was like, I generally can't imagine how to fuck a foul ball in the dugout. That made no sense.
Fuck, duck. Same shit.
Same thing.
Well,
Well,
yeah, right.
Fucking a foul ball and ducking a foul ball, two very different things.
Very different. You can fuck it out of the way. It would hurt a little bit, but you can fuck it. You can fuck that thing way out of the way. That 100-mile-an-hour foul ball. You could.
I bet you Tommy Pham would be the only person on that team that probably could fuck a foul ball out of the way.
And Tommy Pham?
Yeah, I think he's probably the only person that could fuck a foul ball away on that team.
Yeah, I could see that. You're the only one that's got like the balls enough to do it. Try it.
That's what I'm saying. Like he pitches like the Happy Gilmore type that's just sitting in there eating softballs straight off the head from a pitching machine and just
362.
This leads me to my next note. If you could have one pitch from any major leaguer ever, what would it be for you? Would it be like a Nolan Ryan fastball type thing?
That's a tough question.
Because I'll tell you now, for
that
me,
comes to mind for me is Tim Wakefield's knuckleball.
Interesting.
That'd be really cool because there's not many people that could throw that thing that way. Similar with R8. I don't know if I'd rather the slow Tim Wakefield one or the 84 mile an hour R.A. Dickey knuckleball.
Well, I was going to say,
I don't know which one would play better in today's game. Probably that Tim Wakefield one that's way below that hitting threshold. So I'd have to say that Tim Wakefield knuckleball. Final
Okay.
answer.
Interesting pick. Did not think you were going to go there because R.A. Dickey had like three different types of knuckleballs. He had the fast one, then he had one he threw in the 70s. But if you watch today's game and even watch, not to jump ahead, but jump ahead in this game, they had a position player come in and pitch, and Cedane Raphael, little Rafi, was sitting there swinging for the fences, and then also at the same time just trying to stay so far back in this ball. Like, major leaguers are so adjusted.
Wasn't that Mendick?
Yes, it was Mendick on the mound, Danny Mendick. And major leaguers. Shout out Ken Herring, Barisi, Joey Consamagno, Joey Bag of Donuts, my boys. But like, major leaguers are conditioned to nowadays like react to 97 to 100. You know what I mean? You go in and mix in a 62-mile-an-hour knuckleball that is dancing all around. Yeah, I think you're probably going to end up winning a couple Cy Youngs in this day and age.
Yeah, I'd go with that. My other pick would probably be Devin Williams' changeup. Um,
That
that one
demon
is,
pitch.
yeah, I would still say that. Damn, there's so many good ones. Johan Duran's Splinker, that one's
Mm.
sexy. The old Emmanuel Classe Cutter would be another pick, and then you got to go with the Tanner Houck slider.
I
Got to
was
go with
gonna
it.
say, like, mine I had wrote down in here. If you could pick one pitch from any major leaguer ever, who would it be? Because I go, generally, I think I would pick Tanner Houck slider. I don't think I've ever seen a slider move the way that his does. Now, granted, that was a heat of the moment type pick right there because we obviously just discussed some really disgusting
No,
pitches.
but it's
But
true, man, because when you look at just think of any MLB pitcher's slider, and then you go and watch Tanner Houck's, it visually looks different. It is eye popping. There is something to it that makes it look that much more impressive of a breaking pitch. And it is no fluke based on the numbers that it produces this year specifically.
exactly, like to the point too, when I watched that Sox game with my dad, and my dad, when Tanner Houck was pitching, my dad literally goes, "Holy shit! Did you just see that pitch? Oh my!" And he was taken back by every slider that
Boomerang.
he threw. Yeah, like he was like, "That thing's a boomerang, babu," and it was just wild to me that like yeah, he's been doing this like his whole career. That's his number one pitch. Clearly, he doesn't watch the Red Sox as much anymore, but like he was just as dumbfounded because he's like, dude, when I was watching baseball, 10 years ago or whatever it was, nobody was throwing sliders like that. The movement is freaking insane.
Oh, and like I said, you go look at any major league slider. Take 8 other examples, and then go watch Tanner Houck's after all of those. And the best one, without a doubt, visually to you, is going to be Tanner Houck's.
Amen. It 100% is. So that's why I said Tanner Houck slider. If I could throw that thing, I don't care how hard or slow I threw. Like, I think I could probably be a major league pitcher. Um, Next note, Hamilton, starting to like you. Let me tell you, double down the line. I know we're going to talk about him a little bit later, but he's he's doing it for me a little bit. He had his moments this series with some of the defense, but the bat, I like him.
Yeah, he's starting to perform pretty well. He had a couple mishaps this series that we'll get to, I'm sure, with his glove. But overall, that bat's starting to heat up over the last month. Over the last month, Mac. If you can give me 2 seconds while I can pull it up.
I gotcha.
Fangraphs has him in the last month at a solid 320 batting average, 363 OBP, and a 507 slug. He has 2 home runs, 13 runs, 6 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases in that span. That's 25 games. The most impressive stat there for me is the sneaky 10 stolen bases. That is pretty damn good, man, in just a month span. If you go expand that outside of the Red Sox, because that's obviously by strides the best on the Red Sox, that is tied for third in the major leagues for that time span for stolen bases.
Who's ahead of him? Do you
You
know?
got you got Ellie De La Cruz at 11 for second, and then Colorado's Brenton Doyle has 13th.
Okay.
And then tied with him is Bryson Stott, who we will see coming up in the Philadelphia series. But yeah,
Interesting.
shout out to David Hamilton. He's been fucking dominant the last month, and arguably the best guy in the Red Sox lineup in that span.
I mean, he's a perfect guy where Cora's been putting him in positions to succeed, but no! Fuck.
Attabae, bless you.
That was a tough one. That was deep down there. Whew! I might have just popped a fucking blood vessel somewhere with that one. Anywho, my shoulders tingle right now. Anywho, Hamilton, yeah. Cora's been putting him in spots to succeed, and I feel like he's a perfect bottom of the order guy, like a 7, 8, 9 hitter, somebody that gives that bottom of the order
Yeah.
a little bit of life, and that's something
Can
that this
he?
lineup needs.
He's not striking out at a crazy clip anymore. He's at 22 and a half for the month. So, I'll take that all day. He's hovering around the range of where Jarren Duran and Willie Abreu are, to put in perspective for strikeout percentage. I'll take that all day, and he's walking at just over a 6% clip. Steady improvements throughout the year, similar to what you're seeing with Ceddanne Rafaela throughout the year for the most part.
I love it. I do love what he's bringing. Don't get me wrong. I was one of his hardest critics when he first came up and whatnot. Like he looked like a JV kid trying to play Division I college baseball as shortstop out there. He looked so lost. But shout out to Alex Cora for just instilling the confidence in him that he can do this. But yeah, love me a little David Hamilton now. I'm starting to really warm up to him. Next note, I just genuinely love this group of guys. And I know they're not the sexiest team in the world when it comes to win percentage or what they do. And granted, I said I wasn't going to live and die by every game, but like there are certain games that just make you feel something. And this happened to be one of them. They're just a fun group. They really are. Like Raffy, man, Raffy's fucking funny. Like he sits in the box and he gets a pitch that goes by him. And if it's a really good pitch that he should have swung at, he sits there and he looks at the catcher and the umpire and he's like,
He just has a special like Rafi face to him.
yeah, like just such a like he needs to be protected at all costs. This man's innocence, like this man's innocence, can never get taken away from him.
We'll take care of him for the next decade.
Like I don't think I ever want him to actually be the leader of this team. I want him to be the Manny-esque player of this team, the Manny being Manny type thing, where Manny did a few of these antics, but like he was hitting 40 home runs a year, so who the hell cared if he, cut off a fucking throw from Johnny Damon to left field, if he climbed the wall, high-fived the fan, shit like that. Like, just Devers being Devers, you know what I mean? Like when he rolls on the ground for a double, and then he's just laying there like he's just so gassed and out of breath. Like, his facial expressions, everything. I love Raffy Devers.
Yeah, not so much a David Ortiz, much more of a Manny Ramirez if you're going to compare Rafi to one of the two Red Sox great sluggers of years past.
100%. And it's just like, and you know what? Part of me, David Ortiz, I love what he brought, the competitive side and all that stuff. But like, there's that fun side of baseball that like where you just see a grown man having fun doing what he loves. That makes baseball that much better. Don't get me wrong. I understand it's a very competitive sport, but just seeing him do that, smile, make the faces that he makes, like, I should have swung at that. And like even the pitcher knows, like, damn, I got lucky on that one.
He's kind of like a kid having a ball, having a grand old time out there playing the sport he loves. It's kind of what it looks like, huh?
100%. Like I strive for my kid one day to hopefully be like a Raffy Devers. All
yes,
right,
indeed.
next note.
Likewise.
Little Raffy single, 2-run score. 2-run score. RBIs 34 and 35 on the year. He could probably finish with 85 to 90 RBIs with like a 220 batting average.
Who's that, Lil Rafi?
Yep.
I could see that.
Like just because he doesn't get a lot of hits, but he gets very timely hitting whenever he does. And then when he's hot, he's driving in like 12 RBIs a freaking series.
And that is very promising for once he is starting to hit for average, because you know that he's going to continue to hit when there's runners on base once that comes.
Mm-hmm. Then on top of it, too, his run total gets up because he's going to be running on those bases.
Yes, sir.
Next note. This was the game to start Bob. Facing all AAA players, would probably hit 5 home runs this series.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought this was the Bob Get Right series of them all.
I really did too. This next note I love. Will Middlebrooks is relentless in the booth. And I might have texted this to you or said it to you when we were playing MLB The Show, whatever it might have been. But Jake Woodford's on the mound. He's struggling. And Jake Woodford does not have good stuff. He's like 92, 93 at most. like when
Yeah.
he's really pumping it up there. His off speed, like he has one pitch and it's a slider that's half decent. Outside of that, everything is well below average. Will Middlebrook says, when you got a guy who doesn't have good stuff and just brought up, you really don't want to do too much damage because you want him to stay in the game. But like when you hear Middlebrook say this, when you got a guy who just doesn't have good stuff, like it is such a dig to that guy. Like if I'm Jake Woodford going to rewatch that game and I hear Will Middlebrook sit there and call me out and say I don't have good shit, like fuck. Like what the hell?
Yeah, that's
he's
hurtful. That's very
he's
hurtful.
that's what I'm saying. Like he's just relentless out there. Like you got a dude who's
It's not
just
like
out there.
Will Middlebrooks was a perennial All-Star or a MVP award winner,
Yeah. And granted, Will Middlebrooks does like he's not an ego guy or anything like that. Like he's very humbled in the sense that he knows that his career was not that great.
Very
but,
much so. He does.
And that's probably why it's okay for him to shit on bad players, I guess, to a certain extent.
Because he owns it. Yeah.
Yeah, because he owns it. But like I just think it's so funny. Like when you got a guy who just doesn't have good stuff, like this guy's not going to overpower you. He's got the slider. Just sit on that, and you guys will crush him all day. Like for a brief moment, I felt bad for this Woodford fucking character.
And then you didn't shortly after.
Yeah, then I saw his face.
This is very accurate.
Oh well, no. Then I just saw his face, and I was like, "Wow, that's such a punchable face."
What an asshole.
Seriously. Jamie Westbrook is a dude. So they interviewed Jamie Westbrook this game, and this is one of the first interviews. I shouldn't say I've seen in a while because like they did a couple player interviews during the game, but like he was generally a pleasant surprise to talk to. And the first thing he comes on, and he's very humble when he talks, but he's like, "Yeah, I'm starting to get some look from some guys in the dugout because this is my second series up here in the bigs, and I'm already doing a player interview." He's like, "I got Pavetta over here smiling at me. I got Liam Hendricks over here like chirping me and stuff like that." But he sits there and he goes on to say how, like, so how was the family trip? So this is where I found out this was a family trip. So all the families traveled on the plane to go to this series. And he's like, I changed the diaper on the plane, and stuff like that. My wife was proud of me for that, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, so how's the hotel you're staying at? He goes, the hotel? Well, not the best experience. And he goes, room service was $170. He goes, but I put on that bathrobe immediately, let me tell you. And just something about that I love. Like, just such a humble man. Like, you know what? I had to spend $170 in room service. Yeah, just pure. Like, when you think of major leaguers, you think of them making all this money and stuff like that, where $170 is nothing to them. But a guy like a Jamie Westbrook who just gets called up, making probably the league minimum and whatnot at 28 years old, and just to hear him say, like, well, the hotel experience wasn't that great. We ordered room service and it came out to $170. Just very genuine and pure.
Yes, indeed. I keep him around a little longer. Why not?
That's what I'm saying. And like then OB starts talking about like, what was it like in your first MLB hit, having your whole family there, and he's just talking about that experience, that moment and whatnot. And that was special, which leads me to my next note that says, how can you not be romantic about baseball?
How can you not, man? This 28, if not 29-year-old now. 28. His birthday is in 8 days. Soon to be 29-year-old, hitting his first major league home run for the Boston Red Sox here in Game 1. Quite the moment. Grab that baseball for the not so young feller. A long time coming, well deserved by the barrel man himself, Jamie Westbrook.
Amen. I love the man. It's such a special moment, and probably one of like the stories to follow the year is Jamie Westbrook right now. Like one of those just feel good stories.
Yeah. It's I hope he stays along, not to get negative here. Once Vaughn comes back and gets healthy, you got to kind of think that it's going to be either him or Emmanuel Valdez. This man so far through through 7 games, 17 plate appearances. Outside of that one home run, he has one other RBI. That was his lone run. He has a 167 batting average. The positive to him, though, is he has a 313 OBP. So like we talked about, he has a very good eye at the plate. He understands the strike zone very well. So that he has going for him. But when he's not walking, he's striking out at a 30% clip, which from what we've seen in the past from this roster construction wise is if you're striking out at that crazy high clip, you're not going to be in this lineup. And if you were called up, you're going to be called back down pretty soon if you're striking out at that clip to figure it out a little bit more.
But I do think to that point though, like I wonder how much he's actually like kind of pressing at the plate, knowing that he may, get sent back down or something like that. This is his chance to play in the big league, so he might be pressing a little bit more. But also too, like again, players have said it all the time. It's so hard to play Major League Baseball because if you're not playing every day, you're only getting one at bat here, one at bat there, maybe a spot start here and there. It's so tough to get into a groove. I think Merlone and Will Middlebrooks have talked about that on the broadcast. And so I think if you give the kid a chance to play a little bit more, you might actually have something there.
I'm definitely going to give it more time since it's only been a week, 7 games, 17 plate appearances. I do like him. I like the posse, his crew that he hangs out with. I like his nickname being the Barrel Man. I like his calmness and his approach to the way he plays the game of baseball. I will give this man more time, for sure.
Love it. All right, I've got a few notes here left in the game one, and then we'll zoom through game 2 and 3. Valdez is a robot when he fields the ball. He has no neck. Like balls just hit to him, and he's just here, and it doesn't look pretty. Yeah.
No.
Next note, White Sox fan have zero interest in this game. And this, I remember it clear as day. They're zooming in on some of the fans behind home plate, and you have a gentleman who's just sitting there like, you have another dude who's sitting next to him just scrolling through his phone. You got a third dude who's just looking up at the freaking birds or whatever the hell was up in the sky. Stars, maybe. I have no idea. Like, fans had zero interest in this game.
How can you blame them?
You can't. You really can't, especially what that organization has done. But we'll get to that. Duke Ellis is fast and skinny. My God, this was their center fielder. And you look at him, and I was like, holy crap, man. That dude, like, you could barely see him in the batter's box standing sideways. Like, he was so skinny, but then he hits a ground ball to the pitcher and almost beat it out of first base. I was like, shit, that kid can fly. My God. It was just a random note, but it was just interesting to see.
Frisky cat.
Little frisky cat. I'm not saying this is how they should be playing all year, but this team has it in them to be good. Here I go down this road again. I forgot I wrote this. They have the ability to get hits, timely hit, power. Defenses are improving every series. The pitching is doing its job. Maybe I'm just this confident because Houck is pitching right now.
I think that was it.
Yeah, I think that was exactly it. Like, I said I wasn't going to live and die by every game and, say that this team could be better, worse, whatever it was. But here I was writing a note about it. Houck finally gives up a hit and a run in the 6th inning. White Sox fan acting like they just won the World Series. Like, literally, he had let up a home run, and it was Andrew Vaughn home run, and this team just went bananas for it. Official next note. Jamie Westbrook hits first Major League Baseball MLB home run and is just cheesing around the bases. This dude hit a knock, and you see the biggest smile on his face. So he's getting interviewed, comes in, pinch hits a home run, biggest smile on his face. You see the fan getting taken away by security, get the ball and all this stuff. That was just a very genuine moment that made me think again, how can you not be romantic about baseball?
How can you not? How can you not?
That made it 12-1. Red Sox. That was the top of the 7th. That was my last note just because the game got out of hand at that point. Danny Mendick did come in to pitch. Again, shout out UMass Lowell. Sox win 14-2, improved to 32 and 31 on the year. Houck went 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 runs, 9 Ks, 0 walks, 1 home run. He improves to 6-5 on the year with a 1.91 ERA. So his ERA actually went up, even though he let up 2 runs. Woodford obviously opposed him. He made 2 starts for the White Sox, and then promptly after this one, getting his tits absolutely lit up, got DFA'd. Pirates picked him up, though.
That's a win-lose situation. At least he was DFA'd, yeah, but at least he was picked up. Better situation for him, believe it or not, going to the Pirates from the White Sox.
Amen. I'd like to say I hope the best for him. I don't know. His face really annoyed me, so I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, I wish you the best, but go fuck yourself, you ugly fuck.
Exactly. Game 2, game 64 of the year. We have Cooper Criswell opposing Garrett Crochet. First note, Crochet is good. Lou Bob hits a home run, bottom of the first, 1-0, the Bad Sox. Then I said I'd love to have Lou Bob and Crochet on this team, which could be a potential. You never know. Doubt it, but you never know. Liam Hendricks is the quiet heart and soul of this team that no one appreciates, I think. So they did a live interview with him, and it was absolutely electric per usual, because they did one with him in Cleveland earlier in the year. And just like, he has such a fun personality. Like, he sits there, he's like, I shit talk everybody on this team. I don't care who you are. I go up to you and you're going to get it from me. I'm going to chip away at you pretty much. And it's just his personality. He's such a fun freaking dude. I cannot wait to see this guy actually in the Sox uniform take the mound for us.
Me neither, man. And he's going to slide perfectly right into that closer role once Kenley's out of here. I can't wait for it, man. Such a better vibe and personality comparative to a Kenley Jansen for that role.
Amen. And then he goes on to say, though, too, so they ask him, like, what's it like working with Andrew Bailey and all that? And he's like, it's awesome out here. I love it. I love working with him. Like, you see some of these guys throwing all these pitches. But he goes on to say that I'd have the highest four-seamer percentage on the team because I'm the only one who throws one, apparently.
Yeah, seriously.
And I mean, when you throw 97 to 98, touching 99 the way that he did in the past, I don't know if he still can at 36, 37, however old he is. But, like, I find that funny because that's his number one pitch, and we don't throw four-seamers on this team. Next note, Bob is fast. Duran gets a third on an error. When things go bad for bad teams, they go bad. 1-1 Sox, top of the third. Next note, what the fuck just happened? So let me give you a little context to this note. So Bob's on first base. Jarren Duran hits a single. He runs to first base. Ball gets by the what it was actually a ground ball or whatever. The ball gets misplayed and misthrown around. Bob ends up scoring from first base. Jarren Duran ends up on third. So he's credited with a single and an error in how he got to third base. Now you have Garrett Crochet appealing to first base that he missed the bag. Now, in real time, you have no idea what's going on because the view of the camera is a bird's eye view right now to show, for whatever reason, in the positioning or something like that. In that moment, Crochet decides to throw to first. Duran breaks home. Ball gets by the first baseman. Or no, he catches it weirdly, spikes the ball, whatever it was. Duran gets credited with a steal of home. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I genuinely had no idea. Then they describe it a little bit more and say that they believe that Duran missed the bag at first, and so they were trying to appeal to first, and you have Huddy sitting there saying, go, go, go. And his speed put that much pressure on Crochet and Andrew Vaughn at first base that he was credited to steal home before they could actually tag first base. And
I love it.
That.
I love it, Huddy.
Section 10 had talked about this a few episodes ago, and I thought this was a perfect time to bring this up. But Stevie Peralt had mentioned how they have over 100 cameras that actually view every single, or at a ballpark. And this is how it helps New York make the decision on if the call is right, needs to be overturned, whatever it may be. yet we are literally only seeing one or two angles of this. And so, like, how do we not get every call right? It blows my mind. Because now when you go back and actually watch this replay and review, yes, he did miss first base. He touched just before it and then stepped over the bag. So the call was right. But, like, how do we not get every call right if you have 100 cameras zoomed in on everything? It's amazing to me.
I don't understand it. It's like they want them to be a certain outcome.
Huh. That's actually not a thought I thought of.
Got
Major
to
League
think of it
Baseball.
with all these FanDuel and DraftKings commercials that you always
Yeah.
see.
Little puppet masters up there.
Yes, sir. Got to think of it every now and then.
That might be
Not in like
conspiracy
just a
theory.
standard 162 game, but definitely playoffs and things of that nature.
Yeah, but like maybe if you got something that's like, plus 650 odds very randomly, and somebody has $1,000 on that or something like that, and
Yeah, I
it's
could see it.
for Jaron Duran to get 4+ total bases, and that could have been the deciding factor. So maybe they overturn that so that you're not winning out on that bet. Wow, that's a conspiracy I never thought of.
Yep.
Interesting. Tyler O'Neill out of the game. I really wanted him to be healthy all year and believe it, but we know who he is at this point. Like, he was playing right field, and you could just tell his knee was, in the words of Tyler Milliken, barking at him, and it was bugging him and whatnot, and so they had to take him out of the game. And it's just like, I think this is just who Tyler O'Neill is. A guy who's, if he's lucky, going to play 100 to 120 games a year. And, in those times, if he's healthy and whatnot, and could maybe hit 20 to 30 home runs and whatnot. But, like, I just think this is who Tyler O'Neill is a injury prone player every time.
Correct. It's unfortunate, but we got to face the harsh truth and reality of the situation. We knew what we were signing. We were just trying to be hopeful, optimistic Red Sox fans, and think that this guy was going to be a comeback player of the year candidate and sustain some health for the first time in God knows how long for himself.
Yep. But I mean, I guess it makes him that much more tradable, because you and I had talked about potentially like re-signing this guy. We
Yeah,
love the vibe and
no
all
one's
that
going
stuff.
to get no one's going to want him. We're not going to get much return for him.
I mean, if he ends up going off and he ends up with, I don't know, let's say 17 to 20 home runs before the All-Star break, which very well could happen, there's a chance. Somebody's going to see what
Yeah,
we
we'll
saw.
see. We'll see, but as of right now, I can't see many teams going after this guy that are in the playoff hunt or trying to get into the playoff hunt.
Mm.
They're going to be like, oh, yeah, Tyler O'Neill, let's go grab him as our everyday outfielder or everyday DH and ride him and trust him to sustain health going into the playoffs and into the playoffs.
He could definitely help a contending team in a DH type role, like to
Or a
protect him
platoon
and be
spot.
healthy, or a platoon spot, like a JD Martinez-esque player. You know what I mean? The tough thing is that, like, he's not bad at the outfield. That's the tough part about it.
No, you just put him at DH, hoping that he would sustain some more health in that position rather than throwing his legs out there in the outfield, especially
Yep.
with this knee injury.
Next note, Duran has a throwing error, makes it 2-2 tied. And this was like egregious, like just a terrible throw that ended up causing a run to come in. And it was just like stupid baseball. And this is where I started getting frustrated. I'm pretty sure you texted me and said, "Why don't just play the show?" And you and I ended up playing the show together while I had the game on next to me on my laptop. And I just stopped taking notes at that point because it was an abysmal game after that.
Yeah, it was smart of you to switch it, especially once it got to a 4-run deficit. Yeah, that's when the games are over normally.
Yep. And that's kind of the nice thing about this year's Red Sox to a certain extent, is that, like, I can kind of have a life a little bit. Like, they're not out there winning every single baseball game like the Yankees or Phillies or
No,
Braves or whoever. You know what I mean? Like, it gets to a certain point where you're like, why am I going to put myself through this? Let me go hang out with my boy and shove it down his throat for 11 innings. You know what I mean?
exactly. But you know what? You didn't shove it down my throat for that whole entire time. It had to be a remarkable comeback on your behalf, and remarkable it was.
Touche. You know what? You pitched the hell. You pitched out of your ass with Dallas Keuchel in MLB The Show. I will give
It's
you that.
normally what happens with MLB The Show. I can't hit for shit. I can pitch, but I can't hit.
You were low-key teeing off on me that game. It just was hit right to players.
A blind squirrel finds a nut every now and then there, Mac.
Touche.
They did make it easier to hit this year in MLB The Show 2024. I'll give them that.
They felt bad
feel
for you.
I'm finding much more success at the plate this year.
They also felt bad for your opponents because you push bunt and drag bunt almost every other at bat. So they were like, you know what? We got to get this kid swinging the bat more.
All right, asshole. It's a fine tool in this game. Specifically MLB The Show, not baseball. It is a successful tool. But
You're the asshole for that.
Oh. Or am I the genius?
This is exactly what had happened. The game ended up sucking, and so we just played MLB The Show, and that was way more interesting because that went 11 innings of back and forth baseball.
You know, it would be hilarious as like a little segment for our podcast is the second the Red Sox go down by more than 4 for the rest of the game for the Red Sox that day, we just fucking go live on an MLB The Show game for people to watch that because it's more entertaining than that shit because you know it's over.
That's a hell of an idea. I think we look into that because I did look into StreamYard and all that stuff to be able to do that, but I do know that you can go live on Riverside and send out a link and people can join that. But I don't know, maybe we'll figure out how to do a little Twitchy thing or something like that and do that. Yeah. Honestly, you know what I mean? Sox go down by 4. I'll have the laptop open in case something special happens, but it won't. I can guarantee that. And we'll just go put on a better show.
Amen to that. Something more entertaining for you.
Yeah.
And something that won't mess up during the stream like the Nesson 360 app.
Oh. So I'll get to this in 1 second. So Red Sox lose 7-2. They don't improve. They go to 32-32. So 100 or 500 on the season. They end up going 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Cooper Criswell, 4.1 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 2 K, 1 walk with a home run. He drops to 3-3 on the year with a 4.13 ERA. Weiser has been struggling a little bit. I never know which version of him we're going to get out of the pen. He goes 1.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 home runs.
Hate to see it, man.
Yeah. Offense rattled off 6 hits, 2 by Wong, but we also racked up 14 Ks against 2 walks in our lineup, so that wasn't good. And Crochet just shoved it down our throats.
He had another good start, another double-digit K outing, and another 1 earned run, 6 innings outing for the man.
Impressive.
Having a good year.
He is having a good year. Game 3. Not lots of notes on this. I ended up going golfing with buddies. I was listening to the game, and then it got to a point where I just turned the game off. Game 65 of the year. Bayo's on the mound.
Don't blame you.
Bayo's on the mound, and he is opposing... who the hell? I don't even know who pitched from that so much. I didn't even care. Anyways, I do have a few notes. The balls on both sides were just jumping off the bat today. Like, there was a lot of early loud contact, whether it was outs or not, but the ball was jumping off the bat. Raffy ended up catching like a 102-mile-an-hour line drive, and I said, Raffy makes some ridiculous plays defensively. It's mind-boggling to me. He looks generally surprised afterwards, too. And this goes back to where I want to defend or protect Rafael Devers at all costs, because this guy catches the ball, right, and he just sits there and he's like, I just did that. Like he didn't believe it himself that he caught it.
No, he rarely does believe it, especially when he does something eye-popping defensively.
Oh, yeah. Dom Smith's swing has looked better lately. He's not as handsy and rollover with his hands. He's staying through the ball more. I just noticed very early on with a lot of his swings, his top hand was rolling over a lot. He was coming around the ball. Lately, I've been seeing him. It almost seems like he's trying to let the ball get a little bit deeper on him and keep that top hand pointed up and just staying through the ball. I'm intrigued to see if we're going to see some improvements out of him moving forward.
I'm sure we will, if that adjustment can continue here. Only I feel like normally when you see the ball a little deeper in this game, normally good things tend to happen. That normally expands the field a little deeper for you and provides a little more margin for error, wouldn't you say?
100%. 100%. I used to preach that all the time as a coach. Like, your goal is to try to hit the pitcher's head. Like, you want to use the middle of the field because you have a lot more room for error. If you're late on the ball, if you're a righty, you're going to go to opposite field. If you're a touch early on the ball, trying to go up the middle, you're going to go left field. So instead of just being a dead pull hitter, try to see that ball a little bit deeper, use the middle of the field, because then that's when good things happen. So agree 100%. Last note I have here, Red Sox are certainly trying to create pressure on the bases. This was with Wong on the base. Like, he was just drawing so much attention, and he had big leagues at first, was getting picked over a couple times, ended up getting to second on a steal. And even then they tried to backpick him there, taking big leads. So I'm seeing that, like, okay, like, we're playing the White Sox. We just lost the second game pretty bad. Like, we need to apply some pressure here some way, somehow. But that was my last note before things just unraveled a little bit for our boy, Brian Bayo. He goes 4.2 innings pitched, 9 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks, and 1 home run. And I had noted, I'm getting used to this kind of start, and that's not good. Like, when do we expect more, or is this Brian Bayo? And I know 9 hits, 5 runs is not him, but is a 4.5 ERA what Brian Bayo is?
Yes, I think it is. The Pedro Martinez comp is horrific. I didn't like it from the jump, man. You can't just do that. You can't compare people that are completely unproven to Hall of Famers. You can't do that with current players to Hall of Famers. That's just not fair to the individuals. All right? Everybody's their own person. Let Brian Bayo be Brian Bayo. Let Pedro Martinez be Pedro Martinez. That way people aren't frustrated and pissed off and let down when this stuff is the norm, because this is what the norm is. He's not an ace. He's not a 2. He's a 3 or 4 starting pitcher. That's what he's supposed to be. That's what he was projected to be. I'm not expecting him to give up 5 earned runs a start, but it's more like 3 earned, 4 earned is going to be the reality.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll have some good stretches where he'll get hot and have 0 to 2 earned for 3 straight starts, but he'll quickly come back to earth and do what he does best. And this is not going to change unless if that mindset changes on him. And we've talked about this in previous pods, but he blew up more than he ever has in his career after this outing once he gave up that grand slam.
I heard it was
to the point that he was he was throwing his glove, and to the point that Alex Cora called it a red flag by the way he acted. And that's nothing that you want to hear out of somebody that is being compared to a Hall of Fame pitcher, specifically a Pedro Martinez, because I don't think Pedro Martinez would be pulling that shit, or a Hall of Fame pitcher would be pulling that shit.
But you know what, though?
I understand this attitude in somebody that wants to win a game, but you're being a brat, and that's something that's like very day one-y. Like,
immature.
If somebody throws equipment or slams equipment, they're being benched, or they're being sternly talking to if they're not being benched, either during that moment or after in the clubhouse or in the locker room. So if this doesn't change, I am very curious to see what happens in that clubhouse, because you don't see any other players pulling this shit. You, at a certain extent, I feel like this clubhouse has to be quite sick with this as well, because whether Brian Bayo intends on it looking to be the case or not, he shows up players out there with the way he throws his glove up, or the way he rolls his eyes, or the way he has that pouty face after a bad play, or something doesn't go his way. And sooner than later, like, that's not gonna fly, because this motherfucker ain't pitching like an ace out there. He hasn't done shit to deserve to act like this to his teammates and to the city of Boston and to New England and to the fan base. You quite frankly haven't done a damn thing. So shut the fuck up. Keep your head down. Stop reacting like you're a fucking toddler playing t-ball who can't even hit the ball off the tee. and do your job and pitch and do your best to throw up zeros and limit home runs and limit traffic on the bases. How about we worry about that?
That, my friend, is hitting the nail on the head. Okay, because you made a lot of really good points there, and to me, like, I think the only because Brian Bayo has the talent and the ability to be an upper level pitcher, a 1 or a 2 potentially. He has the stuff to do it, the movement. He has the pitchability to do it. What you need to see is exactly what you said, that mind switch, that like he needs to mature a little bit on them, not even a little bit, he needs to mature a lot on the mound, and he needs that mentality switch of stop giving a fuck about what you do and let's worry about us as a team and going out and trying to give my team a chance to win. You could be pissed if you don't give your team a chance to win. You can't be pissed because you let up a fucking grand slam to a double A player. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not okay. And to your point too, like, if I'm Pedro Martinez and I do some shit like that, you know what? That's fine because I'm Pedro fucking Martinez. I am a Hall of Fame worthy pitcher. I've won on the big stage. I've been an ace of the staff. So if I get mad and throw my glove once or twice, that's perfectly acceptable because you've earned that right to do it. But to your point, Bayo has not earned that right. And realistically, and don't get me wrong, I love the kid and I still have hopes for him to be a successful major league pitcher for us. But like, I'm getting tired of the antics this year. Like, especially for somebody that we just gave a contract to. Like,
I'm sick of it.
And with your manager saying that's a red flag, and especially your manager who's Alex Cora, who defends his players left and right, he will call you out on the bullshit, but he will then just build up your confidence again somehow. But for Cora to say that, like, I'm with you. I'm curious to see that dynamic in the clubhouse after that.
It's a big time call out, so I can see things changing for the good here moving forward. One can hope.
A boy can dream, let me tell you. I wonder if John Henry's looking at this like, fuck, I shouldn't have gave him that money.
I would be if I was in that seat right now.
I would have been like, we should have just put that towards Tristan Casas.
Yeah, me too. Because I don't think Casas would do this.
No. Robin Hood, aka
It'd be a distraction.
Oh yeah. Robin Hood, aka Chase Anderson, goes 3 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 home run, 1 run. So his only hit allowed was a home run. Does his job. Again, I'm going to start harping on this. I know he's not great, but he just goes out there, does his job, and gives his team and his bullpen a rest and his team a chance to hopefully come back if they can. So just wanted to give him a little shout out there.
Gotta love Robin Hood, man.
You most certainly do.
Valiant effort.
Offensive wise, offense rattled off 5 hits this game, 2 from Hamilton. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Dahlbeck comes in, and this motherfucker hit his first home run for September of 2023. And I am here for the Bob Show. Bob Rocket all day. Bobby. So, it's about Bobby. Anyways, just a quick. I needed some positivity in my life, and the fact that Bob actually hit a home run. And granted, I'm more pissed at myself because I didn't watch this live, because I can tell you now, if I watched this live, I probably would have re-proposed to my wife right then and there on the spot. I would have been that happy. Like it.
Just so it's attached to that moment.
Yep, just so it's attached to that moment.
The Red Sox prospects' first home run of 2024.
It would have been a great moment to have just sat there, got on one knee, and said, "You know what? Will you remarry me?" She probably would have said no, because she probably would have known it was linked to Bob's home run, but still, I would have done it.
That's okay. Thought that counts.
Sox end up losing 6-1. They go to 32-33 on the year. Now they're on the verge of dropping a 4-game series against the White Sox. So this brings me to game 4. My dad ended up coming up to Leominster to visit, and first time he came to visit the house and everything like that, I had the game on, and the screen just went completely black. And he goes, "What the fuck's going on with your TV? Like, is it broken or something?" I was like, "Nope. This is just the fucking product that I pay for that is NESN 360. And my screen was black for 5 goddamn minutes.
Good job, Nesson 360. And keep on doing it. Every time out, they just flop. No. They deserve claps. They're trying very hard over there at Nesson headquarters, Mac, okay? No, another round, please. They're trying extremely hard to fix this and to give you a quality product, all right? We're only human in this world. Nah, I'm just kidding, man. This has been way too long. It's fucking June, dude, and this is still happening. And they haven't said anything in emails about refunding or providing a solution to this negative product that they are producing. Absolutely nothing. Just radio silence and crickets.
Yeah, I'm like trying to keep the composure here because I don't need to go on another Nesson 360 tangent. And if anything, you just did it with tongue in cheek there. But let me tell you, Nesson 360 is a joke. Like my next email tomorrow will be I want a full refund and I'm going to Fubo TV to still watch Nesson, but just not on Nesson 360. I can't do it anymore.
Take that.
Yeah, take that. I'm still going to watch your product, just not pay for it through your app.
Not directly.
All right, game 4. Game 66 of the year. So we already drawed out that Nesson did not work. Sox, a game and a half out of a wild card spot. Probably doesn't mean much, but still kind of cool. If we split or lose 3 out of 4 games against the White Sox, that would be so 2024 Red Sox-esque to do that and then go on a tangent where we win the next 6 games. It didn't shock me the outcomes that had happened so far up until this moment.
Me neither, to be quite honest with you. It's very Red Sox of us to have it come down to a series finale on a Sunday, mind you, where we
9-1
be going back to a 500 record.
Yep, but the Sunday Sox, baby, they are 9-1. I will say that. This was.
Do you believe it?
Oh, you better believe it. Bullpen day for the Red Sox, so it was going to be interesting no matter what. But there was a particular play in the 3rd inning. This is when I actually had taken my first note. That's how uninteresting this game actually was. It really pissed me off, this game. There was a ground ball to Dom Smith where he had to go backhand to it towards the first base line. Slid, got it, threw it to Slayton. Slayton caught it, to my knowledge, stepped on first, and somehow Gavin Sheets was safe. And I have no idea what happened in that play. Did you see this or know what I'm talking about?
No, I was coaching.
God damn it. I need somebody to explain this to me because I swear he caught the ball. Like, at least I saw he caught the ball, and Dom Smith didn't field it cleanly. It was a hard hit ball. He went backside on one knee, threw it to first, and somehow, even though he was out by a mile, got called safe. I have no idea what happened.
I would assume one of 2 things. Either the foot was not on the bag or the guy on first base trying to record the putout was not in possession of the ball by the time that runner.
I was going to say, that's a good point of him maybe not touching the bag. And the only other thing I can think of is like obstruction maybe, or like him getting in the way of the runner's lane so that he wouldn't have a lane to first, maybe. But even then, though, I still feel like he was out by a mile. So that was just intriguing. This 4th inning is high school baseball. We had errors left and right, like to the point I couldn't even just list them. It frustrated me. It really did, especially against a bad team like the White Sox, making the errors that we did. When we make all these great strides, we go 2 steps forwards and then 1 step back. I can't get frustrated though, because I said I'm just gonna be a vibes guy now. I'm just gonna let the season ride out, so I can't get frustrated. But it was frustrating.
Very, very strong of you.
3-run homer by Paul DeYoung in the bottom of the fourth. Just mid-baseball. Errors are killing this team. And that was literally the last note I had made because then my dad came up and I decided, you know what? At this point, it was like 3-0. I would rather hang out with my dad a little bit, and we ended up going out to dinner and try to watch the Sox game, but it was interesting. So just to give you a brief recap, bullpen day, Zach Kelly started, 2 innings pitched, 3 Ks, 2 walks. Weissert then came in, 1 innings pitch, 1 hit. Slayton got touched up a bit, 2 innings pitch, 1 hit, 3 runs, 1 earned though. And that was by a home run. And that's just because of errors. Terrible. Bernardino got touched up a little bit too. Not that bad, but still 1.1 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 run. Then Jansen came in, threw 2 innings pitched with 5 Ks. Interesting little tidbit here. First time in his career ever going 2 innings pitched with 5 Ks. And only one pitcher has done that this year. And that was by Jeremiah Estrada on 5/23. Before that, hasn't been done since September of 2023 by Jalen Beeks. And I find it interesting, 2 innings pitched, 5 Ks from a reliever. And that's the interesting part about this, is that's from a reliever, not a starter. Because we have seen like 5 Ks in a row and stuff like that from starters. But from a reliever, has only been done twice this year. Kenley Jansen and Jeremiah Estrada.
That's pretty damn cool. I would expect that to happen a little bit more often.
I would too. But like the fact that Kenley did it, just
out of all people,
yeah, like going 2 innings pitched. Like you think Cora like looked at him and was like, Kenley, I'm gonna need you to go out there for one more, man. And he was like, really? Like you can just hear the diabetes in his voice. Like, really? Fine. And then he goes out there and
I would love it if it was a complete opposite and Kenley was demanding for a second inning. And he finally turned a page and he was finally like what this team needs. But it was probably the first one.
Probably. Cam Boozer with the save. So the Red Sox ended up coming back to win. Long story short, it was 6-4. It was a 4-3 game going into the 9th. And then who was it who came on for the save opportunity? Some Joe Schmo from like Single A that they probably just brought up like 2 days
Joey
ago.
Slapdick.
Trevor Slapdick Jr. over here.
Yep.
And long story short, there was a few plays that ended up happening. Sox ended up tying it and then going away with the lead. Cam Boozer comes in, strikes out 2 in a clean inning there. Defense made 3 errors this game. They were costly ones. They had a total of 4 errors all series. And you just can't let bad teams like this hang around, or else this is what happens. You end up splitting a series with them. And especially like against what could be statistically the worst baseball team that has ever been assembled.
Yeah, man, it doesn't give you good vibes or a good positive outlook when you go look at what's on the schedule ahead, the next 2 opponents. It's scary to think that you just split a 4-game set against one of, if not the worst team in the major leagues in 2024 here in the Chicago White Sox, and you have to go play the Philadelphia Phillies and then the New York Yankees in back-to-back sets. Little concerning, but quite frankly, it's the most Red Sox thing in the world for them to take a shit against the Chicago White Sox and then play out of their ass against the Philadelphia Phillies and hopefully then immediately after the New York Yankees.
I'm actually really looking forward to the next pod and that series look ahead because I feel like I have a lot to say about that Yankee series.
Yeah, so do I, man. But we're not just there yet.
No, we are not.
We're currently at the Philadelphia Phillies series for our look ahead.
Wait. Ready? What'd you do to my soundboard?
They're not playing.
No, they're not. Never mind. I was going to do a transition thing and say, series look ahead time. But,
well,
here we are.
We got fucking robbed.
Yeah.
Series look ahead time. We got a 3-gamer against the Philadelphia Phillies. Game one here is going to be Zach Wheeler versus Cutter Crawford. Game two, when you look on MLB.com, it will say TBA, but the inside source from the SoxHub boys says it's going to be Christopher Sanchez versus Nick Pivetta. Game three, same thing if you look on MLB.com. That source says TBD. Your SoxHub boys say it's Aaron Nola versus the Haukmeister Flex, Haukamania brother, Tanner Houck. Reversing back to game one, Zach Wheeler in 2024 is 7-3 on the year, 2.23 ERA, a sub-1 whip at a .97 in 80 2/3 innings, 91 strikeouts, 26 walks, and 6 home runs. In his last 7 starts, he is 5-0, 2.49 ERA, and 43 1/3 innings pitched, 45 Ks, 3 home runs. Cutter Crawford in 2024, 2-5 record now with a 3.51 ERA. Oof, that's climbed up. 1.18 whip and 74 1/3 innings pitched, 71 Ks, 24 walks, 6 homers. Cutter in his last 7 is 1-4 with a 5.27 ERA Mac, 1.24 whip, 41 innings, 37 Ks, 13 walks. All 6 of the home runs in 2024 have come in the last 6 outings for Cutter. Game 2, Christopher Sanchez in 2024. Sneaky guy in 66 1/3 innings. He's 3-3, 2.71 ERA with a 1.34 whip, 59 strikeouts, 21 walks, 1 home run only in those 66 1/3 innings. Last 3 outings, he's 1-0. In 17 1/3 innings, he only has 2 earned, 15 hits, 3 walks, 12 strikeouts. Nick Pivetta on the year, 3-4, 3.4 ERA, sub-1 whip at a .94, 42 1/3 innings, 51 Ks, only 9 walks, and 8 home runs given up. The last 2 outings, he is 1-1 with 2 earned run performances. That's it. Only 2 earned runs in 2 games, 12 innings and a third, 1 home run, 4 hits, 4 walks, 18 strikeouts. Goddamn. The finale is quite the matchup. We got Aaron Nola versus Tanner Houck. Nola in 2024 is 8-2 with a 2.77 ERA, sub-1 whip at a .97, in 84 1/3 innings pitched, 76 strikeouts, 22 walks, 11 home runs. His last 3 outings, he's 2-0 with 4 earned, 4 walks, 16 Ks, 10 hits, in 19 1/3 innings pitched. Tanner Houck on the year has been dominant every single time out, other than that one start he had at home against the LA Angels where he gave up 12 hits, 13 hits, something like that, on 4 earned runs. This year, he's 6-5 with a 1.91 ERA, a .92 whip, 85 innings pitched, 84 strikeouts, 15 walks, and 2 home runs. Last game, he gave up a home run to the White Sox in garbage time, his last inning pitched when he shouldn't have been in the game anyways. We were texting back and forth about. And that was his first home run given up in 9 straight consecutive starts. So unfortunately, that streak has ended for him because we let him go 1 inning too long. That would have been a perfect game to give him rest, but here we are. Prediction time, man, unless if you got anything to add here in our little series look ahead for this Philadelphia Phillies series.
I do not. The one thing I do want to note is I feel like, to some credit to Crawford, to Cutter Crawford, that is, like, it just goes to show how dominant and good he was to start the year through his first, like, 5-6 starts or whatever, to how bad he's been for his ERA to still be, 3.5? Like, that's how good he was to start the year. Where I think
seriously,
if he can get an extended day rest, like he's probably praying for that All-Star break to have that few extra days.
Oh, he needs
like
it.
That. Like, I wouldn't mind even going to, like, some way somehow like a 6-man rotation for, a turn or 2 through the order, just to give him and Houck an extra day's rest with how hard they've been working.
Yeah, that wouldn't be terrible.
But that's the only thing.
More importantly for Tanner, I think Tanner would appreciate that.
Oh, I think he would have. But, like, see, Tanner's demeanor on the mound tells me that if Cora allowed him to, he would go 9 fucking innings every start. Like, that's just the type of presence he has in the mound where, like,
Yes.
Cutter after the first inning, I feel like is like what do I do here to get outs? Like what kind of adjustment? Like I'm not saying you see more panic in his face.
And Tanner's on autopilot,
Yeah.
just fucking mowing it down.
Exactly. You see a guy who keeps looking at his gas tank and is like, shit, I need to put gas in this freaking car. And you got another guy who's just rolling on his freaking motorcycle down the freeway and just ripping it at 100.
One's on cruise control,
Yeah.
one's itching and clawing for every mile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
In celebration of that, man, I have Cutter Crawford losing game 1 here to Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler's just too dominant, and I can't see Cutter Crawford making a bounce back performance against the Philadelphia Phillies and what this lineup has looked like throughout the course of the year. That and then Cutter never gets run support, and I don't think that's going to change here against Zach Wheeler. Game 2, Christopher Sanchez against Nick Pivetta. I think this is our saving grace game here. I think Nick Pivetta can get the job done. He's been hot his last 2 times out, and I think this will be a third. This is his old team, and he's always got a little chip on his shoulder in certain moments in certain games, and this is one of those that I got asterisked in one of Nick Pivetta's classic vintage outings where he goes one of those 5-6 innings pitched Johnnies with 7+, 8+ strikeouts. Gives up a home run or 2, but is in contention for a win when he gets out of the ball game, or it's a tie ball game because he gives up a home run on that last pitch of his outing, and he's motherfucking himself when he gets off the mound. But I got the Red Sox winning this game despite Christopher Sanchez having a pretty damn good year. This guy looks like he's a relative pitch to contact guy. Granted, a lot of the Red Sox games against pitchers that have looked like this, they've had career days strikeout wise, but I don't really see that against this dude. He gives up way too many walks, and his whip is way too overwhelmingly bad comparative to the norm at a 1.34, 1.35 for him to terrify me at all in comparative to Nick Pivetta. The finale. I feel like this game is very dependent on what happens offensively versus Christopher Sanchez. If we can go and do some productive shit against Christopher Sanchez and create some momentum going into that finale, I see us winning convincingly against Aaron Nola and Tanner Houck's start. You know Tanner Houck is going to go out there and give us 3 or less earned runs in his 7 innings. If we can put up more runs than 3, we're going to win that baseball game. And I think it's going to take, quite frankly, a lot of positive momentum and a win the game prior in order for us to get the job done against an Aaron Nola type. So that being said, I did pick Nick Pivetta game to be a win. So if that's the case, and from what I just said, I have to pick the Tanner Houck game as a win as well, and I cannot break my streak of picking Tanner Houck games as wins for the Boston Red Sox. So you have it here, folks. The Red Sox are going to win this series 2 out of 3 against the Philadelphia Phillies.
Trout, I love the enthusiasm, and I think we had a lot of the same line of thinking in this series here. My notes for this, as we did this before the pod, I wrote, Game 1, fucked. We are not winning that game. Zach Wheeler is going to shove it down our throats. Cutter, it's not going to be a get-right game. It could be another disaster, like 5-6 earned runs, 2 home runs, who knows. But long story short, we're not winning Game 1. Game 2, I was on the same page with you. You almost dug into my crystal ball a little bit there, where last week I had said that he was going to go 6 innings pitch, whatever it was, 9 Ks, all that stuff. This is Pivetta's revenge game. He's pitching against his former team. Exactly what you said, a little chip on the shoulder. There's going to be a little extra fuck you behind him on this game. And I think you're going to see a little bit more rah-rah behind him as well.
Yes, sir.
And the Christopher Sanchez, he's been great this year. But I do wonder what his FIP looks like, because I wonder if his FIP's higher than his ERA with the amount of traffic that he does allow through hits and walks.
Only 1 home run, though.
Yeah,
so I can't imagine it's too crazy.
True.
Like, he probably isn't in the same realm as Brian Bayo right now.
No, absolutely not. I'd rather Christopher Sanchez than Brian Bayo at this point. But I'm sorry, I take that back, Brian. I do love you. Just mature a little bit. But Sanchez, it doesn't make me overly nervous. I just think that Pavetta is going to have one of those starts where exactly what you said. He just goes out and does something cool and special, and maybe the offense can put up at least 2 runs, 3 runs, and win the game here. Game 3 is where things get interesting for me because this is a very intriguing matchup. You're seeing Hauk versus Nola. You're seeing him against another ace level pitcher here. And Nola relies a ton on his off speed and the movement of his fastball. So I'm curious to see how the offense handles him because if he's not on, you could see a 4 earned run game and a couple home runs by him. If he is on, you could be seeing one earned run or less with 8+ punchies in 6 to 7 innings pitch. But with Hauk, my prediction here is Hauk goes 6 innings pitch, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks, 1 walk, 6 hits allowed. And he goes about 90 to 95 pitches. The issue is he's either going to leave exactly your prediction with Pavetta. He's going to leave either with a lead or down 1-2-0 or a tie game, and the bullpen's going to end up blowing it some way, somehow. And it's going to be one of those like tough break starts. So I think we take 1 out of 3 from them, the Pavetta start, and we see what happens. I'm excited to see the Phillies play. The Phillies are probably one of my favorite National League teams. The stadium's just electric there when they hit home runs and just do everything fun. And they're a fun team to watch right now. I mean, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. I know Trey Turner's out, but he's on that team.
They're a fun team.
Alec Bohm, like Aaron Nola, JT Real,
Schwarber.
They got all this stuff. So they're a fun team to watch. So I'm just excited to watch baseball, whether we win or lose.
We get to compare JT to Connor Wong this series. That'll be fun.
That will be interesting.
Quick little fact check for us. You were curious, so I'm going to deliver. Christopher Sanchez's 2024 FIPSky is a 2.52 in comparison to his current ERA at a 2.71.
No shit.
So he is doing indeed better because he has not been giving up the long ball, only 1. Now, to put that in perspective, Brian Bayo, okay, his ERA is a 4.78 and his FIP is a 4.64. So those are all pretty even and pan out.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I hope he does good because he's on my fantasy team. This is one of those.
Sanchez.
This is like one of those tough things where like I want Christopher Sanchez to like at least give me a quality start, like 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, and then when he gets taken out, the Red Sox offense can just go put up 20 runs if they want. Don't care.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
We got the return of a little bit of outside of Kyle Schwarber. We got a little bit of Matt Strahm in our life here coming up.
No, fuck that.
That'll be nice to see him. That'll be nice to see him again. He's a very solid reliever that we unfortunately let go, more than likely because he would have been way too much money, and we didn't see the value in that, and instead decided to make a god in Justin Slayton and trust a Greg Weissert sort of guy, which quite frankly, I respect the decision there based on getting a Justin Slayton in return.
Way cheaper and better production. Granted, he went to the Phillies 2 years ago or something like that, but
yeah,
loser. I hate Matt Strahm. He just looks like he thinks he's the ugliest fucker in the world because of his hair, and he's just so ugly.
Walmart version of Josh Hader, man. I like him.
I could see that.
Hey, so you got the 1 and 2 this series. I got them 2 and 1.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, cool.
We'll see how this plays out. I am very excited to watch it. I already told Haley, I was like, you are not going to see me from Tuesday to Sunday. I am going to be glued to the TV to watch these games. And I know the Sox probably aren't going to play great. I'm hoping they surprise me, but I'm just excited to watch really good teams play.
If we can keep the defense together this Philadelphia Phillies series, I think we have a chance to take care of business and create some good steam going into this weekend set against the New York Yankees. And God damn it, we gotta create some good energy and some positive steam going into that series if we're gonna want a chance.
Amen. But with 5 minutes until midnight, we said we wanted to be done before midnight. You got any closing thoughts for me, Trotty?
Red Sox are 33 and 33. 500, as the kids would say. 500 P, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're 2 games back from the wild card. We were saying the other pod that we're going to be realistic. We're not going to take every game and live or die by it, but I'm still going to say that the Red Sox are a potential playoff team here, and my heart and my mind and my soul are not out on that yet. I can still feel it in my bones that all it's going to take is one hot month and us to continue to play 500 ball for the rest of it, and we're going to get in. Baseball is a weird, weird sport. Every year is different. There's different records every single year. There's different, very, very different outcomes every single year. In the NBA, you don't see in one season most teams that are going to make the playoffs going 500 ball,
Mm-hmm.
or very close to it. You don't see that in football too often. You don't see that in hockey. You only see that in baseball. And this is a very weird year where a lot of those teams that are doing well outside of your Cleveland Guardians, your New York Yankees, and your Baltimore Orioles, a lot of them are 500 or close to it. It's anybody's ball game right now, and I have a feeling that that's not really going to change moving forward here, specifically into that All-Star break. So if the Red Sox can get to that point of post All-Star break into the trade deadline where they're in that wild card hunt or 1-2 games back like they are currently, that's the point that I'm going to continue to keep my faith and continue to say that this group is a playoff team or has a chance to become one of those. Until that trade deadline, I will determine my answer once we get to that point. But until then, I'm going to continue to bang my drum that the Red Sox just need that one hot stretch of 3 to 4 weeks and then 500 ball the rest of the year. And they'll be a playoff team when the world all said they were not going to be.
I will say to your note here that, or just about the Red Sox in general, what you had just said, I looked at the July schedule, and in my mind, I was like, and this is jumping way far ahead because normally we'll do this at the end of June, but I was like, that's the month that the run happens and gives everybody faith is July, and then roll into August with some good momentum, and then in September anything's possible. So I want to make it abundantly clear. My announcement last episode, I am not out on the Sox. I am just accepting what I'm seeing on the field, and that like guys like a Bayo are not going to take that huge step forward like I thought. And injuries continue to plague this team, and Tyler O'Neill may not be the player I thought, but that doesn't mean that I don't think like if they sneak in, like they could not sneak into a wild card spot and make some damage, because I'm pretty sure it's something like 5 of the last 7 or 7 out of the last 10 World Series have been won by wild card teams. And
doesn't surprise me one
bit.
bit.
And you put the Red Sox in there, and again, like just we've seen it time and time again, but like play gets elevated in postseason baseball. Pitchers start pitching more dominantly. Relievers are a whole different animal. Like relievers dominate in postseason baseball because you have starters going 3-4 innings and then relievers coming in after that, and they're pitching every day for like a month straight, and they're just jacked up on adrenaline. You got the atmosphere is just different, and so I don't know. The Red Sox sneak in. Fenway Park's going to be buzzing like it was a Savannah Bananas game.
Don't let us get into it.
Don't let us do it. 2 quick notes. We'll probably finish at 12:03 here. I apologize. 1, I'm excited to see Kyle Schwarber again. Just because, like, just with Boston in that general vicinity, I miss him. I even bought a Barstool sweatshirt back in the day, the Kyle from Waltham one.
I got that.
And I ended up giving it to you because I realized that I needed to order like 3 sizes larger than you should typically order from Barstool. So you ended up retaining that one. So just excited.
That shit shrunk bad, dude. It's like a fucking belly shirt on me now. I still rep it.
I love that. You know what? I can also picture you too, just wearing your leggings that are tucked up above your calves, right? With that on with like a shirt that's a little bit too big. Not even that it's too big. It's just the sweater's too small, so the shirt's hanging out underneath it, and it's going just above your waistline, but you're still rocking the shit out of it with the sleeves rolled up.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's my
You
thought.
nailed it.
Last closing thought here. Have you heard of Matt Tugboat Wilkinson?
No.
No? Well, you're going to have to look this fucking guy up. So this is nothing to do with the Red Sox, but this fucking player is probably one of the most interesting minor league players that there is. Let me tell you a little bit about Matt Tugboat Wilkinson. He was a 10th round draft pick by the Cleveland Guardians in 2023. He's a left-handed pitcher who is 6'1", 270. Like, this is a big boy, okay? Does not look like he belongs on a professional mound. His career his 2024 minor league stats, he's in high A right now. So he's only 22, but he's in high A. He is 4-1 with 55.1 innings pitched, 96 punch-outs, and a 1.63 ERA and a .83 whip.
Holy shit.
Go watch video of this dude. They call him the Tugboat. He is a big boy pumping 97, gassing it by. Like, do you remember in Moneyball when at the very end, he's like, Billy, this is Scott Brown. This is our catcher that hit a ball out of the ballpark and didn't even know it. And he's this big guy or whatever. He trips around first base. That whole scene. That's like kind of like this guy. Like, Trotta, this is Matt Wilkinson. He just threw 55 innings pitched with 96 Ks and a sub-2 ERA. And he is only 22 years old. Like, just go watch video of this guy, and I think you're instantly going to fall in love with him because A, he's a lefty, B, he pumps cheese, and he's got ridiculous stats right now. So I am very... And also, too, he got drafted out of the junior
And by
college.
his size, sounds like a David Wells.
But, like I'm looking at his minor league pitcher right now, and just he looks like that 12-year-old soft tossing lefty on a mound that should not be on a, like, he looks too big for the small diamond type thing, and you're just like, yeesh, we're gonna tee off on this guy, and then he just blows it right by you. But he got drafted out of a junior college, and I love that. So go watch video on this guy, and I think you're gonna end up
all right, I will. I'm
in love
sold
with him. But Matt,
I'm sold.
Go
Tugboat
Wilkinson. Go Tugboat.
Go Tugboat, go. Choo choo.
Choo choo. But 12:03 on the dot. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And we will see you after the Philadelphia Phillies series.
God speed, everybody.
Smooches.